let's bring over our next guest. He was with us a second ago for our MSO panel. They called it spirited. They called it lively. Brad, would you say the MSO panel was spirited?
I'd say it was a lot of brain activity going on, very cerebral, a lot of knowledgeable players that had a lot of opinions. It's a crazy space that it's attracting a lot of dynamic personalities, such as everybody that was on the panel. And I think it was like you said, it was lively, it was spirited for sure.
It was fun, man.
I think it was a good time. We had a lot to say.
Well, good. And that's the way it should be, right? We want to hear from different perspectives, different companies, different markets, right? But now you guys are killing it. I want to give you time to jump into exactly what you're doing. And shout out to Tyler. I know he's going to be helping us here, but I'm going to get off the screen. I'm going to let you guys share and do your thing.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And thank you for everybody for showing up on a Friday. It's Friday afternoon, so I'm gonna get to the meat and potatoes of what's going on here. I don't know if everybody knows me. There's the big ugly guy on the right there. I started in the cannabis industry a very long time ago with respect to being in Canada and being part of the first federally regulated business in effectively the world. And I started a little company called Metrum, and Metrum grew up to be the #1 medical company in Canada, medical supplier in Canada. And we're competing against a bunch of new incumbents and peers, and we became, a real hallmark of the industry with what we created, which was a way to detail doctors, and that was the only way in at the time. So it became the Metrum Spectrum. And Canopy at the time was growing exponentially, saw us as a very appetizing target to take out, and we sold to Canopy for close to $500 million 2 years after that for the value we created and the ability to manage the medical market. And so I took that acumen across to another company called CanTrust. We became, again, the #1 cannabis supplier to the medicinal market in Canada at the time as well. And the value proposition beyond that of talking in colors, which was the Metrum Spectrum, was to actually standardize cannabis across every SKU that we put out the door. So we had a label claim on everything that went out the door, and we were able to actually detail doctors the most efficacious way in the world, which is, again, on standardization, so they could dose, titrate, and gauge efficacy among their patients. And so we became a real hallmark of the medical industry, again, by way of doing what we did in terms of a strategy. We took that market cap from 0 to $1.5 billion, 2,000 patients that were purchasing, once every 3 or 4 months, to 75,000 patients that were engaged between 4 and 6 weeks of intervals of purchasing. So, it became a real good business, and I saw the ability to actually take that strategy. And what I wanted to do was actually come off the TSX, which we uplisted to at the time, and go to the CSE and move our way into the United States, which was, really where everybody wants to go and everybody wants to be, especially these days. And so I saw a vision to be able to become the first cross-border company with the acumen that we had and the strategy which we had, which was actually, standardizing every product that came out the door. And so with that, we're able to actually, when we go into America, brand it, because there were so many brand restrictions in Canada. It was punitive to a degree, and you really couldn't identify yourself as a brand outside of what you knew with doctors, et cetera, on the medical side. When the rec came into play, 80% of that package was warnings. And so, we saw the other side of it, which is in the United States, where there really are no brand restrictions or product restrictions for that matter. And so I wanted to take what we had as acumen down into the United States and really, hit this market hard and underpin brands with what wasn't being done at the time, which was standardization and putting out real products for, in a consistent manner. And so, every time I'm always giving one of these speeches. I always have a little Starbucks thing in my hand, and it's okay. So who grew the beans in this cup? And nobody knows. Well, you know what? I paid $4 for this thing, And I can tell you right now, it's because of the brand. It's because of the consistency. It's because of the experience. And so we built a great team to be able to come back down into the United States. Unfortunately, the CanTrust board didn't want to come down into the United States. They wanted to uplist to the NYSE and do what they did. And there was a whole pile of shenanigans that went on post my exit. And so I just want to make that very clear to everybody that that was far beyond my tenure there at CanTrust. And I took the opportunity to then come down into the States and just do a pure play in the United States. And our beachhead was Michigan. But, talking about our ethos and who we are and what we do, again, we've got some of the top brands in Canada or in the United States. We acquired a Platinum Vapes, which was the number one vape company in Michigan, where we wanted to enter. We've got proven operators. We've standardized cannabis in Canada and in a federally regulated market. Our retail footprint is second to none with respect to where we're going and how we want to build this thing out in a vertical piece. And then the cultivation, of course, you can read all the hit points there. We're bringing, obviously the standards of Canada, which was federally regulated, again, very arduous regulatory framework. And we're bringing that level and bringing that bar into what we're doing right now in every state that we're going into. And so for us, that's very important to be able to actually come in as credible players and do what we do across the vertical channel from seed all the way to customer and back again, underpinning what RWB started off as, which was a brand strategy company, a house of brands, if you will. So you take a P&G model, for instance, that would be the analogy of what RWB is, and then we're going to fill that in with our brands and our targeted ecosphere of who we want to service as demographics and psychographics. And so we've done that with two brands so far. We've got the High Times brand and we've got Platinum Vapes brand. And again, our beachhead was Michigan. So if we go into the piece of where we started, Michigan was a unique market and nobody was in it at the time. We really came up with a very unique way to enter that market, which was a put call on a private company. And so, despite the fact that public companies couldn't own a license in Michigan, we actually devised a very unique framework in which we could actually be an investor into this private entity, have a put call on it, which we just exercised, and we got pre-qualified on. I'll touch on that in a minute, which we're incredibly excited about. Now we have full control over it, but I digress. We had a great framework into which we could invest, create a critical mass footprint. We did that relatively stealthily across a 2-year period. We put in about $100+ million into that market, and it's really taken off. And now, Michigan as a state, I believe, has popped into the 3rd or 4th position now in terms of cannabis sales in the United States, and we've got a critical mass footprint in there. And while we were in Michigan, we identified some accretive acquisitions within that, which one was Platinum Vapes. And when you looked at what was going on in the vape market, Platinum Vapes was number one with a bullet within Michigan. And we took advantage of that to build our critical mass footprint. And so now when we look at Platinum Vapes as a company in Michigan, they're doing incredible business. And again, I'll touch on that in a bit, but that gives us, the biggest footprint and the biggest critical mass within Michigan, doing 35% of the vape business within that state. We've taken, of course, California with that Platinum Vapes acquisition. So we're doing great business within California. We've effectively doubled that business, in these two states effectively when it all comes out at the end of 2021. It's on such a trajectory. We're very excited about California growing that market because it was relatively regional in the San Diego area, and we're now going north. We're going north into LA, and we have plans to go into NorCal as well. So when you look at California as an opportunity, it's a huge opportunity for us to be able to grow this brand that's very concentrated up the coast and do what we do well as what we've done in Michigan. And so we're also we've also taken a footprint in Florida as well. So when you look at the news of late with RWB, we bought Acreage's assets in Florida, which include 8 leases across the state, very strategically placed, where we can actually do some delivery and add some value there on top of what the potential of those stores are. And we have a grow in Sanderson, which again has a potential of 115,000 square feet of grow. Plus we have pods. We just landed 30 more pods in Sanderson to be able to actually plug in and take advantage of a more immediate grow. And so we're growing that in a very disciplined manner, because Florida is vertical. You look at Florida, it's seed all the way to customer again. And again, what we're going to be doing is proliferating our brands within Florida. And so you look at what's going on in Florida as well. Huge state, big revenue, and you look at where we have our operations and our leases. One of the stores that we have right now is one of 3 in South Beach. So when you look at the potential of what that store is and the footfall that we'll be able to get from it in South Miami, that's a huge opportunity. We've also taken a position in Arizona through another MSO that we're licensing their facility and their license from, to be able to enter that market with Platinum Vapes as well. And so and that serendipitously is now going rec. So we're taking a med market that's $1.2 billion, now going rec within Arizona with a brand such as Platinum Vapes, is a huge opportunity. We've also entered Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is an incredible sleeper state when you look at the potential of what's going on in that state. They're $1.2 billion in terms of revenue, and with 4 million people. So you look at what's going on in that market, huge appetite for what we're doing and entering that market with a brand. And so we're going in very asset light, very brand heavy, to be able to actually take advantage of the huge amount of stores and distribution within that market. And obviously the insatiable market that's and consumption that's going on in Oklahoma, which is huge. We also have a binding deal in Illinois for a license there, which is very exciting, and that's in the process of getting approved right now. So just making sure that we're all good corporate citizens as a board of directors in a company, and then the license approval should be going through in relatively short order. So when you look at that potential of that market, again, some of the biggest players in there, but we've got a great opportunity within that market, and we've got the High Times license for that state as well. So when you look at a brand that's been around for 46 years, we have we've got Michigan, we've got Florida, and we've got Illinois working within the High Times brand, and then we've got PV, Platinum Vapes, to go to the rest of the states that we're working in right now, and piggyback the distribution that we've already got, reciprocally among the brands that we have in distribution. So we've also got 3 licenses in Massachusetts, and we haven't really moved on Massachusetts as a strategy. They were having some trouble with the whimsy of the regulatory market, and we saw that as a bit of a liability. And we saw other markets that we were in already to be too attractive to take our attention away from. So Michigan, we're drilling down on. Illinois, we're drilling down on. Florida, we're drilling down on. California, we're growing. And Arizona, we're just getting into as a huge state with respect to the Platinum Vapes opportunity and operations. And Oklahoma, we're going in asset light with the brand license in there to take advantage of distribution. And we're looking at some other brands that we're going to be bringing into all of those territories as well. So, as a footprint, that's where we're operating. We're going, our strategy is obviously inch wide, mile deep on everything that we're doing there. And of course, underpinned by the biggest brands in cannabis. And so here's some renderings of what's going on with respect to our High Times opportunity. Again, 46 years in the business, writing about it, and being an advocate, and being a torchbearer, for cannabis. And so when you look at something that's been written about. It's almost like Jack Daniels writing about alcohol for 46 years and then being able to actually sell their product. And so we're proud to be able to actually represent High Times in the highest quality and get into those brands. Beyond that, what they have are events and real awareness through the Cannabis Cup. And so if you look at the popularity of what went on in Michigan with the Cannabis Cup, we had lineups around the block to pick up Cannabis Cup packages and invite people in to be judges this year, which is a very new model, and I think it went over incredibly well. So to be part of that insatiable market, which is Michigan, Illinois, and Florida, to be High Times brand ambassadors and awareness across the whole ecosphere. It's a huge opportunity, and then taking advantage of their digital footprint and their media presence and all the collateral. So when you look at who's donned the covers of High Times over the 46 years, you've had every rap star, every rock star, every president that inhaled and didn't inhale into what our collateral is now that we can leverage into bringing footfall and awareness to what we're doing in those 3 states effectively, Michigan, Illinois, and Florida, as you see there. In terms of what's going on. So we're bringing these to fruition now that we have control over, and we got pre-qualled, which pre-qualled sounds like pre-something. No, this means that we're now proven to be good corporate citizens in Michigan. We can now actually take control of those assets, exercise that put call effectively, bring the assets into RWB, and really grow this thing. So that happened a week and a half ago. And I can't tell you how excited I am to be able to actually now control these assets and really bear the low-hanging fruit that's going on right now, and then really get to a higher mind of what our executional goal is, to take advantage of over the 200 points of distribution and the brands that we have and grow that within Michigan. So the opportunity is not just our 8 stores that we're operating with another 2 that are coming online. It's taking advantage of distribution through brands, and that's our strategy. And then we take that shelf space and increase that shelf space within our distribution channel with other brands, with other products, line extensions, etc., to be able to take advantage of it. And here's an example of, what we have right now within our 2 brands. So we've got our edibles, we've got our vapes, we've got our chocolates, across our edibles and gummies, etc. And we've got our live resins. We've got also the exotics. We've got our dabs, our shatters, our diamonds, our sugars, and all the other pieces that are part and parcel of the cannabis industry as we see it now. And then, of course, the new formats that are coming into play with our formulators right now. We're taking advantage of and seeing what makes sense for each brand to line extend into. And we're not kidding ourselves with respect to being, the single brand for, every product. So we're going to be bringing in more brands across more product lines, as it makes sense for us to do. So, we've got a great foot up right now in the footprint of America right now, 2 of the biggest brands across, all the states that are really growing like a weed. And really truly insatiable. And as they grow and come out of the medical market into rec, there's massive opportunity for us to plug in our brands across more distribution channels, bring in more brands, and leverage our model that way. And as we see it, as RWB being the umbrella of the House of Brands, we have such a huge opportunity now within the states that we're operating to take advantage of it. And we now have control in Florida and Michigan, and now Illinois is coming on to be able to take advantage of what we've got here. So we're really, really excited. We got a big Q3, Q4 coming up, as we now are able to bear fruit here. So thank you very much. I'm getting ushered out here. I probably talked way past, but we're clearly very excited as RWB and as being very undervalued against our peers with respect to what we just put out. We just put out a $33 million first quarter, and it's just for me very exciting to grow on that on top.
Brad, that's awesome, man, and that was going to be my first question for you. And we don't have to stay long. I've kept you too long already. But when it comes to that being undervalued, right? Where do you see yourself in sort of the upper echelon of these MSOs, right? Because I feel like that kind of number that you're putting up in revenue, it's got to put you up there, right?
So, oh yeah, look, it's now, it was a wait and see for RWB because we hadn't put numbers out, and what we could post, we couldn't really report what we had. And now what we know we have beyond that of what we reported as well, and what their business is doing and how we're growing it. Again, you've seen what I've done in the past iterations of me. This is what we do. We bring the good people in to do the good things, to grow a great business. I've never been part of an EBITDA losing company. And so I don't intend to be ever in my career. So this is what we're doing. We're value-based, we're fundamentals, and we're product-driven with a great strategy. And we're executing on that. As you see, we're just now, after 2 years, being able to control it. So this is so exciting for me. I can't tell you how happy I am.
Well, geez, man, I don't blame you. So I'll let you maybe right off into the sunset with this last question here. And Mark M in the chat is a fan. He said he's been holding long since 2020. So listen, when it comes down to it, and a lot of the investors are going to want to know this anyway, but it sounds like you're able to buckle down and execute now, right? Because you have control of these operations and you're ready to sort of let loose and see what happens. What should our investors be looking at in terms of potential catalysts down the road, right? I know you can say some, maybe not others, but what should they be on the lookout for to hedge their bets, right? And know that RWB is going to be one of those companies that should be in that upper echelon and is undervalued.
It is, yeah. And I just want to say thank you very much for all the long holders and strong hands and people who believe in it. It's been a long road. Really has, to be able to actually, get our pre-qual and survive this COVID thing where everybody was furloughed and all the government licensing bodies were, not able to even talk to. And so we got stuck in the middle of that for a very long time, and we weren't able to go and execute and get the things that we do have now, which is now control and the ability to go and execute. So what you're going to see is all the accretive pieces that we have. We've got seed to sale, but what we also have is the ability to underpin these brands and piggyback our distribution channels that we have that are far and wide. Florida, for instance, and now we have the ability to grow our own. And so we don't have master growers. We have PhDs that grow at scale. And so when you look at markets that are truly scale, we're not playing in basements with 10 lights. We're playing in hundreds of thousands of square feet that are bringing in thousands of pounds a week to be able to move into a market that we can standardize and really play on both sides, medical and rec, as they come to fruition. And we've got the brands to do it. So, I don't think there's another company in this space that has this strategy and is able to execute as more efficaciously as us, as RWB, because we've done it before. We've been in this business for a very long time. We've got great people to go and execute now.
Awesome, man. Well, with that, I'll let you go. I really appreciate you closing us out today. I'm sure I'll see you again, hopefully live in New York in October, man.
Let's hope so. Fingers crossed. All the best.
Right, you guys take care.